Hey everyone, it's Tucka, and in the last video I received my first real mission from Caius Kosage as a member of the Imperial Blades, and what he told me to do was to approach Haspat Anthobolus here, and to find out what he knows about the Nerevarine cult and the Sixth House cult. And before Haspat's willing to give me that information, he tells me he wants me to retrieve a Dwemer puzzle box for some ruins called Arkngthand, some dwarven ruins. So I ask him how to get there, and he tells me to do it, I have to go head south out of town, past this little Strider port, cross the bridges, head north towards Caldera. I should see a signpost, and then head to the right. I should see a signpost for Malig Mar, crest a hill, and then cross an ancient Dwemer bridge over Foyada Mamika, and then I should see Arkngthand, and I have to turn a crank to open the doors to enter the ruins. So obviously these directions are, you have to kind of pay attention. There's not a lot of hand-holding here in Morrowind, so I have to follow those directions. I ask him what a Foyada is, and he says it means fire river in the native tongue, and basically they're ravines that were carved out by lava flows, and they're used as backcountry roads by the natives. So I also ask him a little bit about Morrowind history, since Caius mentioned the fact that this guy's kind of an expert. But he doesn't tell me too much about the history. He gives me a book instead to read, and he says what I really need to know is about the current events. And he tells me that the great houses hate each other. They're always stealing, conducting raids, all kinds of skullduggery. The temple is trying to kill off a rebellious faction called the Dissonant Priests. The Ashlanders are raiding all the civilized towns. So pretty much, not only do you have most of the Dunmer who are kind of seething with frustration at the Imperial occupation, which has been going on for a long time, by the way. This isn't a recent phenomenon. The Empire has been here for hundreds of years, but the Morrowind inhabitants still aren't too happy about it. But the native factions are also very much at odds with each other. And there are some alliances. House Alalu is pretty friendly with the Imperials, and House Redoran is very friendly with the Imperial Temple, and that sort of thing. But for the most part, there's a lot of conflict. So it's a pretty interesting political situation here on Morrowind. And so I'm going to turn to the left here and look at Balmora as I leave the city. Again, I think it just looks pretty cool. And off in the distance there, you can see the towers, the Dwemer ruins. That's Arkngthand over there, I think. So, and I guess I should give some background as to the nature and history, the nature of the Dwemer and some history about them. The Dwemer are basically, they're also known as dwarves, although that's not really as correct a term to use for them, because, and it can be kind of confusing, because if you think about, Tolkien-style dwarves, like short, stubby, bearded dwarves, that doesn't really fit the bill. The Dwemer are actually an elven race, and they disappeared some time ago during the Battle of Red Mountain, which I'll get into more detail later. It becomes pretty relevant to the main quest. But yeah, they suddenly disappeared, all of them. Every single Dwemer in existence, apparently, just disappeared. And we don't know if they all died or if they went somewhere. Some people speculate that they were transported to Oblivion, or maybe some other continent or some other spiritual plane. But who knows? But they're gone now, and they left behind a bunch of Dwemer ruins. And Vardenfell was kind of, and Morrowind was the center of Dwemer civilization back at their height. And there are some other ruins in Skyrim and elsewhere in the Empire, but this is where the vast majority of their ruins are. And so this is one of them. And Dwemer were very technologically advanced. They weren't so much adept at magic. They used something called like tonal harmonics. They had tonal architects, and nobody has really mastered the Dwemer art since then. And what exactly tonal magic is, or tonal architecture is, I don't really know. But they also created basically mechanical devices as well. They created golems and mechanical spiders and things. And you'll see, I think we'll probably be seeing some of them a bit later. I don't know if we'll actually be encountering any in these ruins, but and here I get in a fight with this bandit or necromancer or something. I don't know exactly what he's about, but he's summoning ghosts and trying to kill me, so I'm gonna kill him. And he's a pretty simple fight. His ghosts get in the way of my fireballs, but He can't stand for long. So I'm going to loot him. And so the Dwemer ruins are often people often loot them and raid them for valuables, but the Empire, of course, wants to protect its interests, and it's made it illegal to. And there's some raw enemy. Speaking of contraband, basically it's illegal to trade in Dwemer artifacts as well as raw ebony and raw glass. And glass is actually, I think it's volcanic glass. It's not like your typical, very brittle, weak glass. It's glass that is suitable for making high-grade weapons and armor. And here I turn the crank and get inside. And according to Elder Scrolls lore, according to what people tell you here in Morrowind, it's illegal to, the Empire jealously guards, Dwemer artifacts and ebony and those things, and they should be treated as contraband, but in the vanilla Morrowind, they're not. You can just trade them like any other good. But I've installed a mod that makes it so Dwemer artifacts, at least, are treated as contraband, just like skooma and moon sugar. So I might not be looting very much of the Dwemer artifacts and weapons and things I might happen to find in here because I won't be able to easily sell them. So that's why you may not see me pick up some of these very valuable weapons and things I find in the ruins. So these bandits, or whatever they are, start attacking me, so I put them down. I think this one right up here gives me a bit of a run for my money. Yeah, he knocks me down, stabs me a couple times, and then he runs away, just when I'm at his mercy pretty much, and I finish him off. So the AI is not super intelligent, but I think it's a little bit more realistic than the vanilla Morrowind, where they just stand there and fight you to the death, even if you obviously are going to kill them. So yeah, I'm looting some things. I'm mainly just looting the gold and some of the other very lightweight things that I find. I can't carry too much because I'm a mage and I'm not very strong. So here I save my game. So I'm going to be pretty selective about what I loot. I might not be kind of utilizing the smartest looting methods here, the most optimal looting methods, but I'm not too worried about money at this point in the game. I mean, money is pretty easy to come by in Morrowind as past a certain point. So yeah, here's another guy I'm fighting, and
not today.
And one thing I might mention is that I accidentally, this is actually my second time running through these runes, because the first time I recorded this, I actually forgot to record it. And here I found a diamond, which is pretty nice. I'll definitely be looting that. And some frost salts, also a nice little valuable alchemical reagent there. So I'll definitely be looting that stuff. But yeah, I had to re-record this because of a technical snafu. So if I go through this pretty fast, that's probably why. And I might not, like, record every single ruin that I go through and clear, but since this is like one of the first dungeons, like one of the first serious dungeons I'm going through, I might as well figure I'm going to show the whole dungeon. This chick here, she stabs me and takes out a chunk of health, and then I almost kill her, then she finishes me off. So there's my first death, and I reload. So yeah, apparently my concerns about magic being overpowered that I commented on earlier in an earlier video were somewhat unfounded. I'm still killing most of these guys pretty quickly, but at the same time, if I get attacked very much at all by anyone with a weapon more fearsome than a dagger, then I am in serious risk of dying if I get in melee with these, someone armed with a decent spear or, a hammer or something. I think the chick that killed me, I think she actually just had a dagger, so... and here I kind of think twice about, should I go through that door and try to kill her again? And yeah, I'll gotta face her eventually, so I go through the door, I'm gonna fight her again. And... yeah, so... and in a way I don't... in a way it's kind of realistic that, 3 or 4 shots from a dagger or less would kill you if you're not wearing any armor, you don't have any magical protections, which I don't yet have any magical buffs yet that are defensive. And here I have to, so I'm employing a bit more strategy. I'm running away, And I also, one of the mods I have decreases your backpedaling speed, so that's the reason why I turned around there to run away. This time I get her. But, yeah, it's more realistic if, you know, the weapons are are very deadly, but at the same time, if it's going to be like a game of rocket tag where every fight you either, you know, die, whoever, you know, gets the first couple hits ends up winning the fight, if that's the way it's going to be, then, you know, it's realistic, but it's, if you end up saving and reloading a whole bunch because of that, it doesn't really make the experience any more fluid or believable, because, you know, you as a player are here, you know, save, reload, save, reload, save, reload, and that doesn't feel realistic either. So even if the combat, so you have to strike a balance between the combat feeling natural and yet not being so, not being realistic to a fault. So I don't know if the mods I have installed are necessarily the best for creating the kind of optimal experience, but what are you gonna do? I installed the mods that I think that sounded the most appealing and that were pretty well recommended by other players. So hopefully they'll work out fine, or at least better than default. And there I just used telekinesis to open those doors, because a lot of these Dwemer doors are going to be trapped, and I'll be making extensive use of telekinesis to open up a lot of the doors I see. Sometimes chests as well, because chests are also often trapped. And here, one of the things I'm noticing is that my fireballs tend to be getting caught on a lot of the you know, the walls and other features of the area, which is kind of irritating, because there is an area of effect. There's a blast, so, you know, but it seems that if your spell doesn't actually hit a living opponent, then the area effect doesn't affect the anyone who's in the area of effect. So you can't, like, you know, in first-person shooters, often if you have a rocket launcher, an optimal strategy is to aim at the floor in front of the person that you're attacking, because even if you don't hit the person with the rocket, the blast radius will at least catch them in the explosion, and you would think that should be a viable tactic here in Morrowind, but apparently it's not. You actually have to hit the person, so that's kind of irritating. I find a lockpick here and pick it up because I still haven't purchased or found an opening spell. So even though I would prefer to rely on my arcane mastery to open doors and locks, with my lack of spellcasting prowess, I have to maybe rely on some lockpicks, at least for the time being. So I still haven't found this puzzle box that Hasfat told me to look for, but there's still obviously much more ruin to explore. And here I have kind of the drop on this guy. I'm up the top here. He's not smart enough. The AI isn't smart enough for him to come up and try to get me, and I don't think there's any way he could possibly come up and get me. So I'll make it sporting. I'll come down and fight him on his own level. So yeah, I'm trying not to be too cheap on this playthrough, and obviously I'm going to try to win, but I'm going to try to succeed in my missions here. But I'm not going to use the most exploitive mechanics. I'm going to try to play the game as, you know, I think the game should be played, without getting too cheap. I have to get cheap, I might get cheap. And I'll probably end the video up here as I approach this lava-filled pit, because the video is already getting a bit long. So I'll see you guys in the next video.